All right, hello everyone. We've got about 16 of us here today. Welcome to the Hurley Investments market commentary for 2021. I sure hope everyone had a great Christmas. Jim, I got your text. I hope you enjoyed the Christmas gifts and the silver there. Choose wisely on which one is for real and which one is a fraud. With that said, I'm kind of excited to get in today. I found some good stuff that I think will really start out this year the way that I want to, since the stock market doesn't know what it's doing just yet. But just to give you a little recap of last week, the S&P 500 ended up on a positive note. It was up 14.4%. It was not up a 16% jump for the year. Again, it was a 14.44. I'm sure that's probably well if you add dividends in or something like that, but 14.44 was the benchmark. We're at some record highs. It's going to be interesting to see where we're going next year. That's all I'm going to say. As for what was up last week, nothing important to pay attention to. And where am I going with this? Tesla jumped 6.6% because they almost sold 500,000 cars, which doesn't help out their valuations at all, but I guess that's something to be happy about. And here we are to 2021. I found it was just sitting in my AOL account, but I'm going to share this information with you because I find it very interesting. Most of us, especially since I've talked to about 5 new people this year, most of us were nowhere close to our goal for the year, right? And again, I've been in these shoes before, so please let me have a little bit of fun with it. If it's like me, the first thing out of my mouth when I look at last year's goals to this year's goals, it's like, chicken. And usually it ends with a 4-letter word afterwards. It starts with an H and an I and ends with an it. And I'm like, I'm not there. And I used to go through this. Once again, I whiffed on my big, hairy, audacious money goal by a mile. Then you think, I'm not thinking big enough. So you set a goal and plan of attack that's 10 times bigger, or at least double the size, right? You want to make up for what you didn't do this year and go into next year. And of course, you missed that one by even further. So I want you to read through this, but a couple points that I found out were extremely important. Quality trumps quantity. And I've got this kid that's living in my house right now. His name's Isaac. He's finishing up school. He hangs out with my oldest. He's like a renter that doesn't rent. But the comment was made, anyone who says an 8-hour work weeks and hustles and grinds is the secret to success hasn't been in the game for long. The key is to shift from a higher quantity to higher quality of hours. So that way you can do those things that matter most to you. Journaling, sleep, reading, adventure, exercise, diet, daydreaming, thinking, prayer, play, family, who knows what it is. But as I was talking with them, it was a very interesting comment that, plain and simple, when you work hourly, you get ahead by working more hours. When you work on a salary or your own business, you get ahead by thinking more or developing better systems. It's more mental. You're going to move up that chain by thinking, or the mental part is going to be more important. With that said, number 2, strategy trumps will. For too many years, I overinvested in willpower and underinvested in strategy. Again, I have done everything. I can trade Forex, I can trade commodities, futures, options, day trading. I mean, I've done it all. And you know what I found out is everything is going to fail. And when it fails, it's going to fail big. You can do iron condors at a 95% probability or 96.5% probability. And that 3.5% that you could lose on wipe out 49 profitable trades. You can run pips, 6 pips a day for weeks and get slaughtered at the next open and give away everything. You can go directional, you can overprotect and not have enough money. You can take 80 to 200 or 50 to $280,000 back down to 50. I've done it all. People say, well, why do you collar trade? Because the strategy is willing to admit I'm going to be wrong. As smart as I am, as much research as I just spent doing the last couple of weeks, I am still going to be wrong. There are times when the market will not work on my timetable or on my schedule. I understand that. I've come to the point to understand, as good as I am, as much as I've done this, with all this experience I have, I'm not going to get it right every single time. So I collar trade. I have a strategy that allows me to be wrong. I have a strategy that allows the market to be wrong in a way that the more wrong that it is, the better we are in the long term. And then something very interesting, velocity trumps size. And I found this particularly innocent. Particularly innocent, particularly not innocent, interesting. You may think of yourself as a lion, a tiger, an eagle, or some other straightforward, powerful animal. The more serviceable metaphor is that of a shark. Though you are indeed powerful, your first priority before conquest and feats of strength is simply to breathe. Unlike other fish, shark gills only work when in motion. If a shark stops moving forward, it dies. You are the same. It's very interesting because I've learned some velocity in the market is the stock market falls down much faster than it goes up. Which at times, no matter how expensive long puts may be, there are times you just have to pull the trigger and put it on. Get those long put protection in place. Get yourself the ability to make more on the way down so that you can add those shares, because that creates something that most people will never understand. That's not going to work. Let's see if we can do it a little bit different. We at Hurley Investments, can't spell. We at Hurley Investments are in the game to make quote unquote exponential returns. And exponential is very hard for some people to understand. Last year, some accounts beat the market, but last year was a setup for this year. last year, our expectation was a lot of what we had just didn't move. So we were picking up shares. I can go ahead and say that between 2019 and 2020, we probably added somewhere between 30 to 50% more shares of stock to your accounts. And the neat part is we did that using profits from protection, right? So instead of telling you like everyone else, having you 96, 98% invested, just wait it out, we were actively managing positions that were undervalued. The end of 2020, I felt Boeing moved, still has plenty of movement in it. Disney moved, Apple moved, Baidu moved. Visa moved a little. 2021, we still have Boeing to move back up to 380, 400. Disney can still move up to 196 to 203. Boeing, just as a heads up, previous highs 380 to 405. Visa has at least to 235. Under Armour has at least up to 27. Ford has somewhere between $17.50 to $22. We have a lot of opportunity still in our positions. But we had some amazing movement last year. For some people, a $240,000, $250,000 movement on an $800,000 portfolio, that's in that 30% range. I would love to tell you we're always going to get movements, but let me be the first one to say 2021 will be much like 2020, only worse. Here is my thoughts behind that, and I'm just going to list out why I think we're going to have a bigger drop than where we're at right now. Market-wise, we're at record highs, right? Record highs going to a year usually means we're going to see some pullback. Even though I expected new money to go in today, it just wasn't there for whatever reason. In fact, new money might not come in till Thursday. I'm only saying that if we get through our elections in Georgia, if the Republicans hold the Senate, there's some gridlock. Markets like gridlock because they don't want to see a bunch of new stuff come in. They like status quo. Couple things that worry me. Record highs in margin debt. People margining out their accounts. Record ETF inflows. Here's the contrarian. People just throwing stuff into passive. Too much passive investing. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go on record on just saying some things that I think we're going to run into that you've heard me say over the last month. How would I say it? Vaccine. How would I say it? Vaccine quantities to reach herd, what's the word I'm looking for? Herd, what is the word? Herd, there we go. Someone's typing it in for immunity. Thank you so much, Bill. Herd immunity won't be reached until August at the earliest. You've heard me say that. And the funny thing is, we have 10 million vaccines, and like 2.8 have been used. We have vaccines that are going to run out of expiration because the federal government's got them and put them to a central location, and the states can't figure out how to pick the crap up. You know what Utah did in our budget? We sent 2 trucks and we shipped some via air freight. We created a $250,000 bill to get the vaccine to a state that has 4 million people in it. Utah set. California can't figure this crap out. Maybe they don't have the money to send a couple trucks. Maybe $100,000 a truck for a refrigerated truck to go across the United States to pick it up in Pennsylvania and ship it back over. I don't know. I don't get it. But I've said it for a while now. We lost 28% because of COVID last year, and we're about 4 times as worse with the UK shutting down or going through lockdown for another 4 weeks, all travel, all business. It's going to get so much worse here where we're going to really test the capacity of hospitals. If we lost 28% last year, why not 35 to 40% this year? The numbers are there. It's clear as day to see. This is where I'm going to be a little judgmental. I'm just going to say slower economy and weak earnings. I'm blaming part of the slower economy because we're putting the person in who was the vice president that had the worst recovery from a recession ever in the history of the United States. Weak earnings. Businesses are not up to speed. And if number one, vaccine quantity herd immunity isn't reached until August, we're still going to see a drag on our economy. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say it this way, that smart money will trump retail, I'll spell retail investor dollars, meaning big money will leave way before the small investor dollars get in. And last but not least, more taxes, and I might even change it to more taxes and another stimulus that just won't be enough for small business in the US. I'm shocked that 20% of our stimulus seems to be going to the United States. Well, Kevin, there's another 280. Okay, so I can go, 430,000 of the 900 is going to go for the US. Over half is going to other things. I just don't understand it. Well, Kevin, if we do 160 million to the museums and stuff, it's going to help them stay open. With all due respect, I call BS. I don't see it. So, as I'm looking to next year, I figure we can have a drop for that fourth quarter. Earnings, which is coming up here, 3rd week in June, will probably be worse because earnings this quarter will be worse than expected because as much as online sales were up, we were still down over 20% from the previous year in purchases. Now, some people said, well, no, that's not true because we did this, we did that. On a back-end inventory side, I don't see it. Which means if the dollar figure was right, things were just more expensive this year. Less quantity of product, more expensive, and I don't know, I just don't see the earnings coming up the way that they're supposed to. So, big drop first, second quarter, COVID related, earnings related. Second drop the back end of the year, which will most likely be the taxes. Two comments came in really good. Too many people not working, therefore not enough money to buy goods and less goods being produced. The second comment, with the high unemployment and online retail doesn't catch up to brick and mortar. I would agree with all those comments, 100%. So look for that drop. If it was 28% last year, why can't it be 35, 40% this year? Second, I would expect probably no Christmas rally next year as we run into higher taxes being pushed through the government, in which case we're going to really plan on needing to protect for no Christmas rally at the end of next year. It'll be the same but worse is my prediction. So for that reason, today I add a little extra protection, rolled some protection out. I put my comments on what I'm thinking, but I want to go through goals for just a second. Man, I want to have everything be the way I want it to be. My goals are the same every single year when it comes to the market. My first goal, make a 7.75% return. The whole reason I do that, since World War II, it's a 7.75 if you reinvest dividends. That's just been my number. I want a 7.75% return. So no matter how you calculate your S&P gains, I want to beat the historical average. Averages are not your friends. Averages are bullcrap, but I still set my goal at the 7.75%. I then go to a 15% return. That's my next goal. How do I get accounts up to 15%? I then go up to a 20%. And then it all comes down to protecting your gains. I find it really simple. If I can double portfolios every 4.5 to 5.5 years, I'll come and be much more important than everyone like myself that truly started investing in 2000, that it took 19 years for the S&P to double. When I hit that 20%, my goal is not to give up those gains. 20% is over 100% return on a portfolio. I'm always that way. That is my first goal. Now, I then have a bunch of other ones that come in here that I think, I don't know, I call them a little bit funny. Probably not the correct word to use. But second, get more business. booked for Kiev. I'm the mouth. Grow my business by 20%. Not the money that I have for people, but in new money. And short but not least, I'm always looking and trying to add another, great typing, another advisor. That's been much harder to do. Grow Hurley Investments to 50 million. Doesn't coincide with my second goal. And then things start to change for me. And it's kind of funny because I divide them into spiritual, business, physical, personal. You know, if I looked at my stuff physically, I've got cut. Actually, that's not the right word. Split all of last year's wood, which in all honesty is about 65 yards by 8 feet wide by 5 feet tall. Get down to 235 pounds. Go hike, Havasu pie. With all the kids. Simple stuff, right? I get some personal goals in there. Want to hit Flaming Gorge this year. Want to fish in Alaska this year. And I might not do any of this. I want a wood-burning stove in the house. What else do I have? For the wife. New paint, new carpet. I hate the master bedroom. The master bedroom bathroom. So remodel, master bedroom, bathroom. And then I kind of have a spiritual one, which for me, it's just what I do. Pretty neat. I want to take my wife out on a date every month, something we don't do. Read my scriptures daily. This is the big one, and this is one that was interesting because I know someone else here also looked for this. Find more ways to help those that might be in need. And I had a fun time doing that this year. As I saw where we were training at the beginning of the year, and I felt like I was having some better success, how would I say it? I wanted to find ways to do more for some other people. A couple ways I did that was trying to offer people jobs. I tried to do it with the kids, but I had a gentleman that was willing to work on building a shed and a chicken coop. He was willing to cut down some trees with us. He was actually willing to help with the cows. Just a little something some of these months to help him get by from where he was losing some money from a job that was cut back on him. Gained to offer someone a position of registered investment advisor job since market, how would I say it? market education is not readily a priority for most people. I typically do my standard charity donations, but I made sure this year that for about 3 months almost, we literally took a family to go get their grocery shopping done. They just didn't have enough to pay all their other bills and feed themselves the way that just to feed themselves, period. So there are a couple things that we did. One of them was kind of fun. I went to a golf charity event for a gentleman who had passed away, and one of his sons was trying to finish his last year of college. And instead of taking all the prize money, we basically, I donated it. I donated what prize money I had, and it started a domino effect, and we basically made enough money for him to pay for his education for his last year. I'm just trying to find ways to have karma work in my favor. If you were to ask me where our markets are going to end this week, I think we're probably going to be down. Normally more money comes in, but I just don't get that same feeling right now. I think we're going to come down and we're going to test just like we did right here. We're probably going to come down and test the lower range. This year, people will probably take more profits off the table as taxes will most likely go up next year. It wouldn't surprise me to see us test that 50-day simple moving average, which means on the Dow we have another 3,322. So we probably have another 900 points to the downside that I would expect our market to go down and hit before earnings are coming up. Technically, we're still bullish, but I wouldn't expect that to happen for the next couple of weeks. S&P still technically bullish, same exact thing. Sitting at 3,700, I bet we have a 110 point drop to test that 50-day, and that is a support level where we might have some more institutional buy orders stacked. With the NASDAQ having such a good year, finished at 12,698, probably 103, but I would probably expect it to go all the way down to 11,933. We probably have a 1,700 and 1,800-ish drop on the NASDAQ as people are rebalancing themselves. What else do I have for you? Where else be in January? I have no idea, so I'm just going to say flat. Earnings, we have Carnival Cruise Lines, Western Boots Alliance, and Micron on Thursday. Pay attention to all of them. Construction spending came in at 0.9 today, which was the estimate. ISM manufacturing should be pretty good, but the ADP employment and the average work week will be pretty important. Not much happening internationally. Wednesday FOMC minutes. I do think the Fed can salvage our year this year. The Fed will probably be very accommodating. How am I looking to trade? Waiting for earnings, and will protective put into this earnings season and add short calls after the announcement and after I listen to the guidance. All right, pretty interesting. I like the economic outlook for 2021, and I got this out of our local newspaper. Eventually, it looks good. What we had was a black swan event last year. And it's really interesting because I spoke to a gal today. She made 3.75 or 85%. and her son lost roughly 5.5% on a 14.44% up year. How is that possible? Well, we got scared out when the markets were down 25%. We didn't get back in until they were back at their break evens. They blew it. They missed it. The beauty of a collar trade, you never miss an up day in the stock market. You're there. It's a local article. It's really interesting because it says it better than I do on what to expect. The economic turn won't be till the end of the year. Will we have this herd immunity? Will travel come back? Will different industries come back? It's really an interesting article that I thought, you know what? That can say it better than I can. The 10 biggest retail bankruptcies of 2020. I put them in here because I didn't realize some of these have actually gone into bankruptcy. Obviously, JCPenney, kind of sucks to be them, right? Huge numbers. Neiman Marcus was out, another $5 billion. I don't know Guitar Center, but that's $1 billion, roughly 300 stores. Tailored Brands, another $1 billion, 1,400 stores. They're the owner of Men's Warehouse, Joseph A. Bank. Very interesting. I don't know Ascena Retail at all, another $1 billion, 2,800 stores. They're the Ann Taylor group. GNC, apparently, even though we're at home, we're not working out, huh? 2,633 stores, another $1 billion of market share. J. Crew, 500 stores almost, $1 billion of market share. I didn't know what Brooks Brothers was, but 244 shares, 500 million. Steinmart, my wife's favorite shopping place, $1 billion there, 281 stores. Pier 1 Imports. I actually thought they were already out of business, but 991 stores, $250,000 of market space. Gone. We have had a huge going out of business, and I'm not sure if we're locked down how we bring new competitors back to take their place. Very interesting article. Active management for fixed income. Most of us think fixed income are just bond funds. We set it and we leave it. Bummer, because they got their butts kicked last year. Really go through this, read this. This is talking about active management for fixed income. How much more important is it for the other 60% of your portfolio that's in the stock market? Just a little idea of what's in the COVID relief bill. There, it's 5,593 pages. There's a ton in there, but medical expenses can still be deducted, learning credits and tuition credits, mortgage insurance, so PMI is now deductible, employer payments towards student debt, the green tax breaks. I just brought some stuff in here to see where you can look at what's in that stimulus bill. And obviously the England lockdown. I understood it's 4 weeks where everything is shut down, travel going in and out, businesses. For 4 weeks, people are expected to stay at home. I can't help but think we're heading this direction all over again, where it's going to be worse than it was this year. With that said, questions. What questions can I answer for you guys? It's been a couple weeks. Trade findings and adjustments will start next week, just to let you know. But what questions do you guys have that I can answer for you? And just as a hint for you, we can well, how do I say it this way? You guys should know that the Hurley Investments, even though it has my phone number on it, it says Hurley Investments, that is not fake silver. That is real silver. It cost me a pretty penny for the molds to be able to make those coins. You can even see on the back of some of them where the guy that had my mold probably used a knife and put a little scratch on the molds right next to the H in Hurley Investments. Please comment on Chinese stocks, Alibaba. So 3 Chinese stocks are being delisted on the 11th, and a great question. So let me just go through my thought process. Chinese stocks. Being the second largest economy, it is probably helpful to have some exposure to China. Some people like, what is it, the XL something or other, XLF, XLE, nope. There's a Chinese 40 stock technology one. Baba's been a big winner. For myself, I have found that I feel most comfortable with Baidu. I felt more comfortable with Baidu because I've run it from 135 up to 775 and like a 10-for-1 split. Baidu has been my most profitable stock that I've ever been in. Baidu is the Chinese Google. Just like our Google is being used here, I feel it is somewhat recession-proof. Baidu owns 30% of Alibaba, IQ, Tenant, and there's one other one. So they're in different areas and creating different revenue streams. I don't trust China, but that doesn't mean you can't make money off them. The reason why I like Baidu is because obviously they're corrupt. The Chinese government owns a lot of the Chinese stocks. They're the primary investor in it. I'm doing an old one that Chinese governments have owned for decades. Would I suggest people go into Chinese stocks? Probably not. In all my research, I didn't feel comfortable even getting into Baba. Some people can tell me, but it's gone from 120 to wherever it's at right now, which is true. But I've got one that I like that works for me. And plain and simple, I'm going to ride it until we can't ride it anymore. If Biden gets into office, China's going to get a pass. There's no reason Baidu can't go back and touch its highs at 280, 288 intraday and probably trade closer to $350. At that point, I will most likely think that it might be time to stay away from China for a while. But if you're going to ignore the second largest economy in the world, I might scratch your head or scratch my head and wonder, maybe that's not the best investing opportunity. In real life, you can make money off of those stocks that you don't like. And that's the game. I really don't care about political views. I don't care about a lot of things when it comes to the job. The job is just, how can I make as much money as possible? And that's the game in the stock market. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. You just got to make money off it. Great question. Are there any other questions that I can answer for you? So good question. So are you going to be more protective going into this year? Yes. We had some protection on today. We already had some protection on as well. And I want to be protected going into this earnings, especially because we just didn't have the overall sales that I would have expected for a Christmas, primarily because so many people are still out of work. A comment was just made, Jack Ma hasn't been heard from since October. Yeah, I mean, he's probably sitting in a ditch with a bullet in his head in China somewhere. Or he's living on an island with his hundreds of millions of dollars and is trying to lay low so the Chinese government won't come and hunt him down. God, both of those are so morbid, huh? Welcome to dealing with China. Sorry, but good question there. All right, any other questions? If they're not, glad to have you guys back. We will not do trade findings and adjustments this week. We will start them next week, and it'll primarily be to protect for earnings. If you have not gotten your Christmas gift, please text something in. All clientele, you should have received a Christmas gift. I know, Jim, I think yours just came today. You let me know. Shocking. It took 3 weeks to get out to you. Okay, maybe not that long. 20 to take 2 weeks, a full 2 weeks. All right. Hey, guys, I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful evening. Good to see some of you back. Russ, good to have you. Lee, always good to have you. Mary, good to see you as always. Guys, have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you next week. And next week, we're back into the swing of things. Take care. Hopefully you had a wonderful New Year's and a wonderful Christmas. With that said, have a good night, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.